Okay, quick note on adding and subtracting with integers. So I'm going to go through just a series of problems and they'll get sequentially a little bit more complicated. So one of the examples that you just did, if you see something like 2 plus 5 minus 11, so we have to follow our order of operations. And hopefully you were taught that all we have here is addition and subtraction, that you do addition and subtraction as you come to it from left to right. So in this case, 2 plus 5 first, 7 minus 11. Now, 7 minus 11 is negative 4. Now, I'm going to recommend, even though it seems unnecessary now, that we start getting in the habit of changing all subtraction to adding. And it's going to save you a lot of mistakes down the line. So that's what I want you to practice through the rest of the problems today. So here's what that would look like for 7 minus 11. So I think the way you've learned about it is that I've heard people say keep it, change it, flip it, or the way I've taught it is same, opposite, opposite. So if subtraction and addition are the opposite of each other, we can rewrite this problem as 7, and instead of minus, we can change this to plus, and instead of a positive 11, we can change it, and I'm going to put in parentheses here to separate the plus sign from the negative symbol. So those two math problems are the same. They have the same value. And so while you might not choose to do 7 minus 11, oh, there's my phone ringing. We'll end that. Good lesson, never have your phone volume on while you're recording a video. So 7 plus negative 11. Now the rule here is if you are adding a negative, then you're going to the left on the number line. So if you start at 7 and you go left, you're going to go past 0 4 more places. And so this is going to be negative 4. So same answer, but you'll see why this might come in handy in a little bit. Okay. Now another question is what if you end up with something like 7 and you're going to subtract the negative number, like negative 5. Well, we're going to do the same thing as we did before, same, opposite, opposite, and rewrite this. So the 7 stays the same, the opposite of subtraction is addition, the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. And that looks a whole lot easier. And this is one of the reasons why it's useful to change subtraction to addition. So instead of 7 plus 5, or instead of 7 minus negative 5, it's really the same as 7 plus 5, which would be 12. Okay, here's an example with multiple terms. So if we have 7 minus 11 plus 9, first of all, if we remember PEMDAS, one thing that is a common mistake that I hope you don't make is that addition and subtraction, we do it as we come to it from left to right. So just because addition comes first in this little acronym doesn't mean you always do addition first. So in this case, subtraction comes first, and we would do that subtraction first. But what I'm going to suggest is that we rewrite this before we do anything. So 7 plus, so same, opposite, opposite. The minus becomes a plus. The 11 becomes negative 11 plus 9. Now the benefit here is that now we have all addition. And the reason we like all addition is because now we can commute, meaning we could rearrange the order of this all we want, which is going to come handy when we get into more complicated terms. But in this case, 7 plus negative 11 we know is negative 4 plus 9. Negative 4 plus 9 is positive 5. So one thing you're going to start realizing is you have to start getting good at adding and subtracting integers. Okay, and the final one is going to be the most challenging one, and I'm going to introduce variables because you're going to start seeing something like this. 5 minus, and then in parentheses, we're going to have, let's say, 3 plus x. Okay, well, this is going to confuse a lot of you, and many of you will keep making mistakes on this, but I hope that we can get past that. So the first thing is, if we look at PEMDAS, parentheses would come first, and we would do parentheses, but we've just started to learn that we can't add 3 and x because they are not like terms. So we'll get more comfortable with the idea of like and unlike terms. But because we can't do parentheses, the next thing we have to do is get into our addition and subtraction. And so we have a 5 minus here. But what does it mean to subtract this whole parentheses? So what we're going to do is we're going to use this same opposite. But in this case, so the 5 stays the same, then minus becomes a plus, and now everything inside the parentheses is going to become the opposite. So negative 3 plus negative x. And now since we have all plus here, the parentheses actually don't matter because of the commutative property. The order doesn't matter. And so really what we're just looking at here is 5 plus negative 3. I put the negatives in parentheses whenever they come after a plus or minus symbol, just to make it clear what the plus symbol is and what the negative symbol is. Plus negative x. And now we can add our constants, our numbers together. Those add to be 2. And if you remember our little units here, we have 2 units, and we have 1 x, but it's a negative, and in any case, those are not like, we can't combine them. So that would be our final answer.